Welcome, everybody. This is the next installment in the Small Business Management webinar series. Appreciate you joining and tuning in today. My name is Nathan Owens. I am the Associate Director for Strategic Initiatives here at UC San Diego Extension and the organizer for this series over the last, going on 3 years now. So for today's agenda, and today's a little bit different than the ones we've been doing in the past, we are going to have multiple speakers today, and we are going to record the session and post that up on Extension's YouTube channel in about a week or so. So it'll be available to those that want to refer back to it if you attended today, or if you missed it, you can always go back and do that there. So the speakers today are all some fabulous mentors from the local San Diego chapter of SCORE. We have Martin Stone, Yannick Clarabout, and Herbert Lieberman. And then we also will have Stephen Sivitz help us out later today with a facilitated Q&A. Steve has some questions that he will put to you guys to respond. And also, if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to drop those into chat, and then Steve will look at those, and then when we get to the Q&A period at the end, he'll pose those to the panelists. And thanks for posting that YouTube link there. All right, if you're not familiar with UC San Diego Extension, we are the professional and continuing education arm of UC San Diego. We are a resource to the community at large for people such as yourself if they want to gain some new skills or improve the skills that they already have to help advance their careers, shift careers, or if it's just for a matter of personal growth. We have over 4,000 courses and over 1,000 instructors who are all real-world practitioners, subject matter experts. So if you are interested in looking at the types of courses that are available, you can see the little URL down there in the lower left corner. Feel free to check that out. For this series, I have a set of partners that I've been working with. For this one in particular, it is the local SCORE chapter here in San Diego. So they'll tell you a little bit more about what they do here in a minute. And then for the series, starting when we were doing it in person a couple years ago, I have been working with 2 co-working spaces located in downtown San Diego, Downtown Works and Cross Campus. If you do have an interest in a co-working space, either now or at some point when you hopefully are not necessarily working from home, I would definitely recommend checking those 2 out. They've been fantastic partners, and I believe provide a great working environment for a lot of small businesses. What is coming up in the Small Business Management series? Well, next month we have a session on the 5 stages of design thinking and entrepreneurship. So this is really to help people figure out product market fit and making sure that they're developing a product or service that actually solves a real problem that customers or users have, and do it in such a way that you don't waste a ton of time and resources coming up with a product that people don't end up wanting to buy. So that's going to be on November 19th, a Thursday, same time, 11 to noon. And then in a parallel series that's being run at UC San Diego Extension, our Leadership and Management webinar series, we have one on the power of curiosity coming up on the 28th. So you can find out more as soon as the slide advances. There we go. At this URL for the Small Business Management series, I post what's coming up there, and then there's also a link to the Leadership and Management webinar series on that page. All right, before I turn things over to our presenters today, I do always ask everybody if they have ideas for future topics, please let me know. I try to develop the content based upon what people are dealing with so it's relevant and useful to them. So if you have something that you've been wondering about, struggling with, would love to find out more information and practical advice on, feel free to send me an email here and let me know. And given the types of people I can reach out to through our instructor pool or the product community like the mentors here at SCORE, I can probably put something together for you. So feel free to let me know. All right, with that, I am done, and I am going to turn things over to Martin to take it from here. So thank you.
Okay, well, hello everybody. My name is Martin Stone, and I'm with SCORE San Diego. And before we get started, all of our SCORE representatives here will give you a little little tiny story of who they are and what their experience has been. So, as I said, my name's Martin Stone. I've been with SCORE for 3 years. My background is in the manufacturing, operations, and engineering management areas, and I've functioned at both a corporate level and growing a small business into a much larger business. So, Yannick, can you take it next?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Yannick, and my background is mostly in marketing and strategy. I started my career 20 plus years ago in Belgium, but had an opportunity early on to come to the United States, working for a large multinational. And that opened lots of opportunities to take on various marketing roles in different organizations. But I did, in the context of the discussion today, I did take the entrepreneurial route for a couple of years, and from 2009 to 2013, I built my own marketing consultancy, working with CEOs and CMOs in different industries, which was a lot of fun. So I joined SCORE earlier in this year. I'm pretty new to the organization, but I really enjoy collaborating with my entrepreneurs, mentors, and helping them to find growth paths for their organizations.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Yannick. Herb?
I'm Herb Lieberman, and I've been a SCORE volunteer for about 3 years. I've also been working providing free business consulting services for probably over 20 years through other organizations that are funded by the federal government. My background is very varied. I have been president of various corporations, so that got me involved in practically every aspect of business. Prior to going into the business world, which was quite a number of years ago, I spent quite a number of years in public education, starting out as a teacher and eventually becoming a superintendent of schools. This was all in New York State. And currently I have business operations in Costa Rica and in Kenya that I help out. Don't go there but a couple of times a year, but of course right now I can't. So that's me, and let me turn it over to Steve.
Hi, I'm Steve Sivitz. I'm part of the SCORE San Diego executive leadership team. And my background has been in mobile communications for over 30 years. My focus has been on business development, sales, product definition, product marketing, and general business management. I've also started 2 companies myself and worked for very large organizations such as Qualcomm, Motorola, Siemens, right on down to startups such as you people are participating in. And I want to tip my hat to each of you for undertaking the endeavor of starting and running your own business. It's something you really need to be proud about. And with that, I'll ask Martin to take it back and let us help stimulate your thinking.
Okay, thank you, Steve, and thanks, everybody. So I'm going to start off this presentation, which the presentation will address what a mentor is, what the mentor-mentee relationship should be, and what the value of having a mentor is. And all of this will be in context with the unique capabilities of SCORE aimed at business mentoring. And as said before, our intent is to address any questions you have at the end of our presentation. And you can use the chat function to document your questions that come to you during the presentation. First, I'd like to ask a couple of quick polling questions just to give us a sense for who's out there in our audience. The first question is, how many of you have had experience working with an available, reliable, and useful business mentor? So if you could just take a quick second and answer the question. Okay, all right, so 75% said no and about 25% said yes. Okay, great. Great. And my second question is, what is your current situation? Are you running your own business? Are you thinking of starting your own business? Or do not neither of those apply and you're interested in how a business mentor may actually help you? Okay, all right, good. So it looks like it's about 60-40 between people who are either running or thinking of running their own business, and then people who are interested in generally in mentoring. Great, thank you very much. Well, I'll address those soon. Okay. So I will, with that, I'm going to start in on the presentation. So now I'd like to tell you about SCORE to help give you context of the backdrop of this presentation. SCORE is a nonprofit organization that's nationwide that has more than 10,000 volunteers. It's supported by the Small Business Administration of the US government, and the acronym is Service Corps of Retired Executives, SCORE, although not all of the volunteers are retired. It's really a mix. The mission of SCORE is to help the small business community through mentoring and education. And the target audience is either wannabe or existing small business owners. So for SCORE San Diego, there are almost 100 volunteers in different categories. And those categories are mentors, subject matter experts, workshop presenters, or chapter administration people. From an educational standpoint, there are workshops, which are virtual now. There are webinars, and there's an extensive online library available at the SCORE website, which will give you the website address at the end, where you can explore available free resources that can be used as you work on your business. Now, the pandemic has moved our mentoring, which typically has been face-to-face, more to the virtual environment, which we're in today. Our mentors have a wide variety of industry experiences. They've had a wide variety of job functions, and all of which have started their own businesses and or have worked in the corporate world. And the main point here behind the mentoring at SCORE is that it's entirely free. So, and mentors can be accessed in your current region, wherever you are locally here in San Diego. If you're from out of San Diego, there are SCORE chapters all over the country, and you can actually go to the main SCORE website and access mentors in whatever geography you choose. Okay, so if we get back to the poll results, where it looked like most of you, 75% or so, said that you have not had an opportunity to work with the mentors. So this presentation will be a great opportunity for you to enhance your business experience with the addition of the mentoring. And for those of you who have had mentoring, we hope that you can use the information we're going to provide so that you can improve your mentoring experience. So what is a mentor? A mentor is someone who's interested in listening to you and learning about your needs. They're an objective third party that has no other agenda other than helping you and encourages your progress towards success. They're willing to take the time to understand the context of your situation and not just advise with blanket solutions that they may have used in the past. Mentors also help keep you on track to work on your business versus working in your business. And what I mean by this is that all of us, whether we run our own business or we're working as part of a company, we all need to take time to sharpen the axe. And there's a difference between executing transactions and trying to improve your processes or try to improve your strategies and working on your business and how you do your job versus working in your business or in your job. SCORE has multiple mentor options. You can mentor one-on-one with any one of locally, again, up to 100 volunteers. If your subject matter needs change, it's very easy to identify another SCORE mentor with the expertise that you need at that particular time in your business. So you can change mentors. You might also enjoy a team environment where there may be co-mentors helping you. But the main point here is that with SCORE, there's a database that's maintained throughout your mentoring process, so that there's documentation on all your sessions, so that if you start working with another mentor, they'll be able to go back and look at the notes and information, so you don't have to repeat yourself to start from scratch. So that's an advantage that SCORE has. Now, you know exactly what to mentors do. I'll give you a couple of examples from my experience. I've mentored a landscape business for the last 1.5 years and helped with business system implementation and operational process improvements. I've also helped pull in other SCORE expertise to help them with employee handbooks and with intellectual property. Another business that I've been mentoring is a sign manufacturing business, where I've worked with them on manufacturing system improvements, factory flow, and quality issues. But I've also brought in subject matter experts to help them when they were applying for PPP and EIDL loans over the past few months. So those are just some examples of what my own personal mentoring experiences have been. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Yannick, who will talk about the relationship between a mentor and a mentee.
Thanks, Martin. So to build on what Martin just said, I'd like to explore in the next 10 minutes so 3 areas with you. First, we'll kind of explore what's the value can a mentor bring to your business. Then we'll discuss when you should considering working with a mentor. And finally, we'll talk a little bit about what are some of the tips for a successful mentorship. But first, let me share with you a bit about my own history with mentorship and being a mentee, not a mentor, but a mentee. You know, as you heard, my career path is a combination of corporate and entrepreneurial. And funny enough, while I had many fabulous mentors throughout my corporate career, as I started in Belgium as a marketing assistant, and I had several vice president roles in marketing large corporations. And part of that was that I was mentored in my career. Funny enough, when I had my own business, I did not have a business mentor. So, and when I look back at that time now, especially I started my company in 2009, which is a time that's similar to what we're experiencing today, I would have loved to have a business mentor and an organization such as SCORE at my side to help me with the many business decisions that you have to make as a leader, from incorporation to growth to scaling and everything in between. So that brings me to kind of what is the value that a mentor brings. And what I did is I actually went back to the entrepreneurs that I mentor since I started at SCORE and asked them that exact question. So what's the value to you of having a business mentor? And the answer came back in 3 categories: counsel, candor, and confidence. So the 3 C's. So let's unpack that a bit further and start with counsel. You know, running a company can be lonely. And some of you know that, and there are many decisions that you need to make, and you're ultimately responsible for making them. But it doesn't have to be like that. When you have a mentor, you can have that reliable sounding board, that person that can provide a second opinion when you need it. And that's really one element of counsel. You know, a second element of counsel is when you need help to answer specific questions. And it's great when you can rely on the expertise of a mentor who has done it before, without having to go to that learning curve. So in the case of my own company, we had a pretty complex contract sometimes to deal with. And it would have been so beneficial to have somebody with a legal background to get their opinion. And as Martin said, an organization like SCORE has an amazing set of experts in many different areas. We have, for example, a mentor here in San Diego that's a former head of a large legal department. Now, he definitely could have helped me with some of the questions that I had. But SCORE has people in, finance, accounting, IP. We have digital marketing experts. So, and you really as an entrepreneur can tap into that expertise. So the second area of value is candor. And, you know, we've all seen the statistics around new business and the chances of success, right? According to a SBA study they did this from a couple of years ago, they said 50% of new businesses do not make it past the 5-year mark. But the good news is, you know, when a business mentor, when the business is mentored by a business coach, these odds go up to 70%. And that's a big difference. And I personally think one of the key reasons for these numbers is candor. You know, a mentor does not have an alternative motive. They have no product or service to sell. There's no conflict of interest. You know, the only interest is to have the entrepreneur, their mentor, to succeed. Which brings me to the final point of value, and that's, you know, confidence. You know, our goal as a mentor is to be your greatest champion. I mean, your mentor knows your strengths, your weaknesses, they believe in you. And through the trust and advice, they give the mentee the confidence to move forward, despite the ups and downs that are going to be there, and we all experience someday. So personally, this is one of the areas that gives me the biggest pleasure when I work with entrepreneurs, you know, to help them discover their potential and give them the confidence and a path forward, which they might not have seen themselves. And it's a great experience. So if you pack that, the counsel, candor, and confidence, when you put that together, what does it result? And you can see some of the potential outcomes on this slide. And if you work with a mentor with the right experience, that can lead to a better understanding of the issues and the possible solutions associated with your business or a business concept. That ultimately leads to a better business plan and an implementation from finance to marketing, HR, and supply chain. And if it's a startup, which, you know, we work with a lot of clients that are startups, the mentorship can lead to a better understanding of all of the elements that are involved with a startup. You know, things like licenses, permits, insurance, contracts. When you are new in business, having to figure out all these things yourself can take a lot of time. With a mentor, you can accelerate all these learnings. So Martin, if we move to the next slide, we can talk a little bit about when you should consider working with a mentor. So I'll give you the short and the long answer. You know, the short answer is always, anytime and at all time. You know, I had a pretty successful company, but sometimes I do wonder if I could have accelerated it with the support of a business mentor. Now, the long answer is there's many different situations where a mentor can help you. And we've outlined a couple of them here on this slide, but, you know, new business concept. We have clients who come to SCORE, they have an idea, but we all know there's a big step between having an idea and then a successful business. And some of the questions that we hear as, how do I determine the size of the market? What customer research, VOC, should I do? How do I develop a business plan? We have all questions that a mentor can help with. I talked about early stage startups, lots and lots of elements that need to be taken in consideration. Sometimes business have issues. You know, it could be people issues, it could be market issues. Given COVID, entrepreneurs are coming to SCORE for help in regards to financing, grants, loans, questions on how they can pivot their business. You know, we have experts available among our mentors that can help with these questions. Sometimes questions are around expanding the business, which is great, right? But there's another set of questions around that. How do I finance the growth? How do I quickly find qualified people? And then sometimes we have entrepreneurs we work with that that can exit the business, want to sell their business, and they have questions around how much is the business worth? How do we take care of employees? So lots of questions and situations that can be addressed by mentors and our expert mentors at SCORE or somewhere else. So if we move to the next slide, we can discuss a bit what are some of the tips on how to work with a mentor. And, you know, for my personal experience, I would say an effective mentor-mentee relationship is one of trust and mutual respect. So how do you achieve that? Well, there are responsibilities both with the mentor and the mentee. You know, from a mentor perspective, it's important to suspend judgment and really listen to the needs of the mentee. And that allows you to kind of assess the situation and then bring your expertise forward in an open exchange of ideas. You know, the best mentor-mentee relationship is really one of true collaboration. Now, from a mentee perspective, to engage in an effective mentor-mentee relationship, it's best that you have developed a business plan and or you have a specific idea, and then you have questions that you need help with, and you can bring those to your mentor. And then the role of the mentee is just to listen, to learn and listen. I mean, and ask lots and lots of questions. I mean, ultimately, the entrepreneur will need to make the decision and need to do the work, but this is the opportunity to learn and learn from others and how they approached it, and get to results potentially quicker. So how do you find a mentor? Now, you know, we of course love you to work with SCORE, and we have a process where we match the right mentors with the mentees given the questions and backgrounds, etc. But of course there are other routes to identify mentors, and through, for example, personal or business connections. But the key is really to find a mentor that's the good fit. It's a good fit for you, and you can engage in that trusted and hopefully long-term, you know, relationship. So there's one thing I like you to take away from this discussion. It's a quote from one of my mentees, and she said, "If you are an entrepreneur, there is no excuse not to work with a business mentor. You know, mentorship can take an hour of your time, but a lifetime of difference in the success of your business." And I thought that was very powerful. So if I don't make the mistake I made so many years ago and find the right mentor for you if you are either in an existing business or if you're thinking about your entrepreneurial future, and find that right mentor for you. So Herb, you want to take it from here?
Ron,
Okay.
mute her. Okay, there you go.
All right, well, glad to be here. Let me just begin by telling you about two situations in which I mentored with two different people for a very extended period of time. First person I mentored years ago was a gentleman by the name of Paul. Paul entered into a relationship with a Portuguese company that had trees, cork trees that they used to make into corks for the wine industry, and he was in the United States, and they developed a partnership. I came on the scene with him just at the beginning of his business. So I began to help him first with organizing the business, helped him with hiring, helped him with sales and marketing, how he was going to market into the wine industry, helped him with operations in terms of purchasing equipment to process the corks and get them ready for shipment to the various customers. As time went on, I helped him also with financing. He wanted to buy a building. I helped him with the purchase of the building. He wanted to expand his business into not only selling corks in the wine industry, but also to sell glass bottles into the wine industry. I helped him develop relationships with two Chinese companies to develop that business. My relationship with him is ongoing now. I meet with him maybe twice a year because his business has now matured very well. He's up to probably about $40 million in sales, so he's been a very success. It's been a very successful story. Second person I mentored to was a woman by the name of Molly. I helped her during her college education, both her undergraduate and graduate training. She became a filmmaker, making mostly documentary films in Northern California. With this woman, I not only helped her while she was going through school with different issues that she had with regard to her educational process, but once she got into the business, I helped her with financing, I helped her with marketing on how to find customers, and then I helped her how to sell into the industry she was working with, which was mainly doing work in the nonprofit world. She's very successful right now as a filmmaker, and she's also teaching filmmaking at the State University at Sonoma State. Okay, so those are some of the ways in which I've helped two people in a mentor situation, or they were my mentees. So let's talk about how you should work with a mentor. The most important thing is there has to be a free exchange of ideas, and they have to be open and honest in your relationship. If you're not open and honest and you keep back information from the a mentor, you're not going to be able to get the full value of him. And as it says here, some of the benchmarks for success include helping to, the mentee feels that his business is improving with the direction of the mentor, and also that they are able to move their business forward because the mentor can tell him or her where are some of the things that you should be working on to make your business successful. It's very important to meet with a mentor, maybe once a month or at any time in which you have a difficult decision to make, or you're having an issue, or you're having a success that you'd like to share with the mentor. The other thing that's important in terms of working with a mentor is that it says the last bullet here, building self-advocacy skills. And that means that you can do things on your own without having to always turn to a mentor. So I strongly recommend that you look for a mentor that you feel comfortable with, that you feel you can communicate with, and you feel that he or she can help you. Okay, can we have the next slide, please? Now, while SCORE expresses that you should have a long-term relationship with a mentor, there are times when the mentor-mentee relationship is no longer necessary. One of the things I do when I attempt to enter into a mentor-mentee relationship, I always say to the mentee or to the business owner, is this going to work? Can you work with me? Do you feel my personality is such that you can communicate with me, and also that I have the skills necessary to help you with your business? So I think it's very important for you to think about not only what's the elements that have to go into determining who you're going to work with as a mentor, but it's also saying, when should you consider ending the relationship? Well, we've put a couple of bullet points here. It might be that you want to change mentors because the mentor doesn't have expertise in certain areas. Oh, excuse me. Most businesses, everybody doesn't have all the expertise, and that's where you use people within your company, or you outsource. Well, to a large extent, the mentor is somebody that you outsource to. But sometimes when you get into that outsourcing, you get to the end of what I call the product life cycle. And it might be time to either look for a different mentor or maybe not use a mentor at all. But I really think it's very important to have a mentor in your business life, because that person, that mentor, is going to help you with your business no matter what the issue or where the growth opportunities are. Okay? And I would very much look forward to the possibility of mentoring some of you in this class today. All right, I think, what's the next thing? I think it's the last one. Nope, it's not. I'm sorry. So why work with a SCORE mentor? So what does a SCORE mentor bring with him? Well, SCORE mentor not only can walk the walk, but they can also talk to you, and they're constantly there. They have, as myself as a mentor, I'm very impartial. I don't have any axe to grind. Everything I deal with in terms of working with a mentor is strictly confidential. I not only support the mentor, but as it says here, I work as a devil's advocate. If I think you're making a wrong decision with regard to how you're moving your business forward, I will tell you that. I'm also non-judgmental. I don't want to be judgmental in the sense of talking down with you. I want to be able to bolster you. I want to be able to encourage you. I want to be able to show you where you might be able to move your company forward. I also want to show you where there are issues that you need to address in your business. And the last one is valuable connections. One of the things that I've developed over my professional career is lots of connections that I can lead people to talk to people about different issues that you might be facing. Okay, let's go to the next slide, which I'm going to go to the next. Okay, so the last thing, this is the last slide. And if you have questions, there are two things you can do. You can go on our website, go to our library, talk to, or call SCORE and talk to somebody there about having a mentor. What are the qualities and the characteristics you're looking for? What are the issues you're dealing with your business that a mentor can help you with? So with that, I think I'm going to return it over to Steve, right?
Yes, very good.
All right.
Thank,
Boy,
thank you, Herb.
Picked up on that.
Thank you, Yannick. Speaking to the audience, we're now at the question and answer stage. If you have a question for the panel or a particular presenter, please put it in the chat. But I'm going to take a dual-tracked approach to this. I'm going to ask you in the audience a question that I really would like you all to respond to via chat. I'm also going to ask a question to the panel that I would like each one of them to respond to. And, they will respond while you're answering my question to you. So to the audience, would you please tell us what is the number one issue that you are dealing with, either with your existing business or a business that you're thinking about starting? And you can either just give us a single word, you can write a short description, but we would really like to hear from you as to what issue is it that's either keeping you from getting into business or that has been a major hurdle for your business to continue to grow. So while you're thinking about that, I'm going to ask the panel, and for each one of you to answer this question yourself. Do you think it is the mentor's role to tell a business owner or an individual thinking about starting a business not to proceed? So Martin, can you take the first response there?
Sure, I'll take the first shot. So my understanding is, your question is, do I think the mentor's role is to advise the mentee not to start a business? Did I understand the question?
Yeah, that's one aspect. Of the other aspect is, if you have a business going, should the mentor tell you, hey, it's time to lock the door?
Ah, okay. So I think the mentor's role, in my opinion, is to be in a situation where they're asking questions and getting the mentee in a position, or the business owner in a position, to begin to consider things that leads them down one path or another if they have to make a decision. I think it's important for the business owner to know what pathway their business is on, and I think it's up to the mentor to make sure that their client or the mentee has visibility of what's in front of them. And while they can say, well, look, here are the things that I would consider just to make sure your business is still viable, or here are the things to watch out for if that would be a clue if it's not viable. So I think a mentor needs to be, use candor and honesty in expressing what their view of the mentee is doing. But I also think they want to put the mentee in a position to arrive at, I guess, what I'll call a common conclusion on what they ought to do next.
So Yannick, I want to ask you the same question. What's your feeling about whether a mentor should tell a business owner or a entrepreneur not to proceed or to stop the business?
Yeah, we're advisors. You know, at the end of the day, we are advisors, and I put forward with data. It's really important to kind of a path of options. But I feel at the end of the day, it should be it is the responsibility of the owner to make the decision. But my role as an advisor is to outline the different options and the pros and cons. And that's how I approach all of the questions and how I work with a mentor.
Herb, what's your position on this question?
Well, first of all, with regard to starting a business and whether recommending to start it or not, one of the things I encourage a business owner or soon-to-be business owner is to do as much market research about the product or service they want to sell, and to look at the industry that they're in to make sure the industry is viable down the road. Once this data, and sometimes I will help them collect this data. Once this data is around, we would sit there and say, okay, should we move forward with the business or not? And it's a collective decision. It's not something where I say, no, you shouldn't. It's putting some thoughts and ideas into the mentee's mind about whether this is a viable business or not. Often this leads to a person or business person not wanting to start the business, or me telling them that I think they're making the right decision when they do that. So the basic thing about helping them is looking at the business or industry that they're going into.
Yeah.
Now, as far as telling somebody about it's time to shut the doors, I've had to do that on a number of occasions. But before I do that, I look at data, and the data usually is the financial data. And if a business has some good financial data, we can look at that. Then the next thing I look at is the market itself. What's the opportunities for growth in terms of the business? And after all this data is collected, if we feel that the business is not going to make it, I would make a recommendation to the business owner to close. Because the thing I don't want to have happen is I don't want the business owner to bleed his business further and get deeper and deeper into debt or into a position where the business really goes down very quickly. So
Great.
I have on occasion recommended that.
Okay. So we got some great questions from the audience. Yannick, this one is right in your sweet spot. Question is social media mandatory in today's world?
Great question. And if we would be in a mentoring session, I would turn it back with another question and say, who is your audience? So it really depends. It depends on who is your audience. In the majority of the cases, the answer will be yes, but it will be very different. If you're in a B2B space, it is social media, is LinkedIn. If it's in young millennials, there are other, you better be comfortable with TikTok, right? So it depends. And one of the key things I like to do when working with my mentees is really defining who is that customer, and what is their customer persona, what do they read, what social media. So you really have to get a really good understanding of your audience and your customer persona, and then that answer flows out of that, because if their consumption of the social media very heavily, then you better be there. But it really all depends on your audience.
Okay, great. Here, Martin, I think you're primed for this one. Can a new business or existing business turn to SCORE to help fill a gap on their team from a personnel or an expertise perspective?
Let's see, there are a couple of dimensions to that. First of all, I guess directly, SCORE doesn't really, I'll say in our code of ethics, say we can't contract out to an existing business who's looking for help. That being said, we have access to a number of HR experts that are subject matter experts within SCORE that can help businesses close the gap if they're looking to hire people. And so they can turn them onto resources to be able to fill those needs from a hiring standpoint. They can certainly also work with the business to make sure that that gap is understood. That, you know, if somebody says, well, I need to hire this type of person, my response would be, well, let's see what problem you're trying to solve, and then go back and revisit what resources or how you can cover that need.
Okay. Then I think what I heard you say is that, you know, SCORE can provide, you know, mentoring and some direction on how to fill the shortcomings in either an organizational structure or a product plan. But we don't really see our role as saying, you know, very specifically, here is the product that you now should consider, or here is the person
Right.
that you should turn to. Is that a correct capsulization?
Yes, yes, that's a good statement.
I'd like to add one thing to that. Let's talk about hiring, which is a important part of any business. I think I've worked with a number of startup businesses where the owner of the business works by himself for a long period of time and then realizes that they have to begin hiring people to fill certain gaps or certain areas of expertise that the owner does not have. One of the things that I have done on many occasions is help that owner place ads online to programs like Indeed, and then help him in the reviewing the applicants to see which ones he should consider interviewing. Then he interviews them, and he then might turn to me and say, okay, I got 2 finalists that I'd like you to talk to. I then talk to those 2 finalists and give him my recommendation. So that's the way I've helped people in a mentor situation.
Okay, good. That's a good perspective, Herb. Thank you. And another question that we typically get is about financing, either, you know, operational financing for an existing business or startup financing. So Herb, do you have some thoughts about, let's talk about operational financing, since you've had some of your own clients with this requirement.
Well,
how do you counsel somebody about operational financing?
Well, first of all, I never come to a mentor-mentee situation with a checkbook. Just kidding. One of the things that I have done is to, with an operational perspective, if they're buying equipment, let's say, for their operation, is if they can lease equipment rather than purchasing the equipment, or if they purchase the equipment, that they get terms to buy it. In other words, they have payout of the equipment. And the reason I do that is because I'm very big on what I call preserving cash. Preserve all your cash, because if you go out and buy equipment and pay cash for it, that means you've used that for that piece of equipment, and that piece of equipment better give you an ROI right from the beginning. But if you lease something or pay it out on, or buy it and then pay out on a long-term loan, it preserves cash. So that's from an operational perspective.
That's a great message. Conserve cash, especially for a young business.
Right.
So let me ask you, Martin. What about somebody who's looking for startup capital? Can SCORE help with that?
SCORE partners or has referrals to different loan institutions that are outside of banks. And I think as we've had recent discussions, there are very few banks that will fund a startup company. But there are people that provide loans. There's Axion is one company that provides small business loans. I think it's SBDC also does. At any rate, in order to do that, even though you're a startup, you still need to approach those organizations with some type of business plan. And for those two particular businesses, they actually have their own template that can help the person looking for funding to put together their business plan in order to justify money. So SCORE will help people move in that direction to make sure they're as good a candidate as possible with business plan information to gain access to loans.
One of the things that I do with many of the people that I provide services to is, in terms of finding money, I talk about first friends and family. Are there friends and family that you can approach? The second thing I talk about is what I talk about debt financing. I do recommend what Martin just said, but I also indicate to them, maybe you have a friend or a family member that's willing to loan you money, and you can create a loan package for them. And I also say maybe they'll give you interest-free for a certain, or principal and interest-free for a certain period of time, then only pay interest and then pay principal and interest. In other words, once again, reduce the amount that you pay out in loans, because debt in any organization can really hurt after a while if you take on too much debt. The other thing which I really frown upon is businesses that get started by using credit cards. And that's a absolute no-no, because so many of these credit card companies now have extremely high interest rates. And I have seen businesses that I've entered at, after they started the business, where they have credit card debt of sometimes I've seen it up to $100,000.
Yep. Very good, Herb. That's a very good point. Also, Martin's. So this closes out this session. We've run out of time. On behalf of SCORE and the panel, and certainly to Nathan, we thank you so much for participating. We are available and very eager to meet with you and discuss your ideas, discuss where you are succeeding, where you are struggling, and provide some support to you in a variety of different fashions. So thank you all for participating, and again, thank you, Nathan and UCSD Extension.
Okay, where to go?
Thank you,
everybody.
Steve, and our panelists, and thanks all the participants for tuning in today. I'll follow up with an email with additional information that you can check out on your own. And if it's okay with the panelists, provide a copy of the slide deck, because it does have that contact info in there. And when the video does get posted to our YouTube channel, I can also notify everybody there. So thanks for everybody for tuning in, and I hope you have an excellent rest of your day and stay safe and healthy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.